Greetings of peace and majestic salutations. In this video, I will be pointing out four main differences between Orthodox fundamentalist conventional mainstream Islam and the group known as the Nation of Islam as taught by Elijah Muhammad. So let's get right into it. All right, number one, concept of God. Mainstream fundamentalist conventional Islam believes in a mystery God that is beyond anything we can imagine, that we will meet, and who will judge us after we die. So in mainstream fundamentalist conventional Orthodox Islam, they believe that Allah is something mysterious that is beyond anything we can imagine, who we will find out about, and who will judge us after we die, after we go to the grave. Concept of God. Nation of Islam as taught by Elijah Muhammad believes that universal consciousness is within, believes that the divine is within us, and that man is the supreme universal being, because man's intelligence has no equal in other than man. His wisdom is infinite, capable of accomplishing anything that his brain can conceive. Allah begets not nor is begotten, meaning, like the grass, spring comes and the grass grows of its own. Like the highest intelligence came out of life, like a seed on its own. Everything that exists from atoms to stars is that life force, is that intelligence. That which we call God is that intelligence. It dwells within me as me. It dwells within you as you. So in the Nation of Islam as taught by Elijah Muhammad, the concept is that the divine dwells within you. You are God. All perception and universal consciousness is within. Number two, concept of resurrection. Mainstream conventional fundamentalist Orthodox Islam believes resurrection of the dead is a return to physical bodily form. So in mainstream fundamentalist conventional Islam, they believe that on a future day of judgment, everyone will be physically restored back to their physical body from out of the grave where they are buried, to then either be sentenced to heaven or hell. Resurrection of the dead. Nation of Islam as taught by Elijah Muhammad believes resurrection of the dead is a mental awakening to higher level consciousness in the current age that we are living in now. So in the Nation of Islam as taught by Elijah Muhammad, the day of judgment is the current time we are living in now, and the resurrection of the dead is a mental awakening from out of the current slumber that many of us are in elevating to or achieving the divine within yourself. Number three, concept of hellfire. Mainstream fundamentalist Islam believes that hellfire is a literal burning in third-dimensional fire in a realm outside of what we can see. So in mainstream Orthodox fundamentalist conventional Islam, they believe that hellfire is to literally be burning in the kind of fire that you see on your stovetop or when you strike a match in a realm outside of what we can see, and that this will take place after one dies and goes to the grave if they are to go to hell. Concept of hellfire. Nation of Islam as taught by Elijah Muhammad believes that hellfire is to be mentally dead and lost in ignorance, and that lies and deceit are also a kind of fire. Or for example, when someone is depressed or in a fit of rage, that is also a kind of fire. Fire means combustible energy. Fire on a spiritual or esoteric level is not necessarily just nitrogen and carbon dioxide like you see on your stovetop or when you strike a match. Okay, so in the Nation of Islam as taught by Elijah Muhammad, the concept is that heaven and hell are conditions of life, not beyond the grave. If one is living a life not fulfilling to the soul, that is combustible energy that the soul is feeling. That is like a burning to the soul. Number four, concept of messengership. Mainstream fundamentalist conventional Islam believes that there can be no messenger after Prophet Muhammad of 7th century Arabia. Concept of messengership. Nation of Islam as taught by Elijah Muhammad believes that Elijah Muhammad is Allah's messenger and that Allah has sent to every nation a messenger, as the Quran says. All right, so this is my conclusion. Fundamentalist, conventional, mainstream Orthodox Islam is a lot closer to modern Western Christianity Nation of Islam as taught by Elijah Muhammad is a lot closer to science and Buddhism. Ladies and gentlemen, fundamentalist Islam, just like Christianity, Nation of Islam, much more closer to science. And to me, I mean, this scientific Buddhist approach makes a lot more sense than this orthodox fundamentalist religion approach. Okay, and nothing that Elijah Muhammad taught contradicts anything in the Quran. Elijah Muhammad did not twist anything that the Quran says or go against anything that the Quran says. It's just a matter of how you interpret the verses of the Quran. Fundamentalist Muslims will often try to argue that Elijah Muhammad contradicted Surah Ikhlas, Surah 112. This is not true. Elijah Muhammad did not contradict Surah Ikhlas, and that is easily explainable. So that is my conclusion. Nation of Islam is more like science and Buddhism. Fundamentalist Islam is more like modern Christianity. I am your brother and MC Minister Uncle Jay Spittums. Shout out and special thanks to the Honorable Rastafari Ital Iman for the knowledge that I presented in this video. And check out the website Underground News Network at unn13.blogspot.com. Peace.